Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing the S.H.Figuarts Monkey D. Luffy Egghead Island arc version. Now this is an interesting one. The Egghead Island arc is airing as of recording. I'm up to date on the manga, so it's been a while since we've been in Egghead, but it is an interesting design. I would have preferred they continue finishing off the Romance Dawn arc or the Wano Island arc for the Straw Hats, but I understand why they're doing this, and it is a budget release figure. I believe it retails at the same price as all the other mainline Luffys so far, so the Wano Luffy and the Romance Dawn Luffy, but has a significantly smaller loadout of accessories. That being said, there is a little bit more going on with this figure that is different to those ones, but it is worth noting going in that you don't get as much variety with this figure. So taken out of the box, here's what Egghead Luffy comes with. So he's got 2 faces, the straw hat, as well as 6 hands. And that is it. The previous Luffys had hair options, so you could have the straw hat on or off, even if you couldn't put it around his neck. It was nice to have, and each one had about 4 faces each, as well as a bit more in terms of variety of hands, in particular the Romance Dawn Luffy, because he had like a piece of meat that you could put in his hands. This Luffy is much more stripped back, especially in terms of faces, and the faces that you get on this figure are very, very, very similar to ones that we've seen before. But there is some interesting stuff to go over. So taken out of the box here is Egghead Luffy, and he looks really, really good. They've really recreated the look of Luffy during this arc. It is very different to the previous 2 Luffys, which I like, although articulation is very, very similar, but there are some slight differences which we'll be going over, mainly in the legs. But for the most part, it is a brand new feeling sculpt, and I do appreciate that. I do like the bright reds. The small paint details are nice, so the trim all around his body, the yellow trim, and the printed details of the SSG look really clean as well as the 163 on his back. It all looks very nice. I do also like the breakup between gloss and sort of like a satin plastic. A lot of the lower torso is a soft plastic as well, which will help with posability. Before we go into posability though, here is Luffy next to the other 2 Luffys. So here he is next to the Wano Luffy, and here he is next to the Romance Dawn Luffy. So you can see they look quite a bit different from each other. Now, Luffy has got a ball joint in the head and neck. It is somewhat limited by the collar and the hood, so you can only get so much out of it. The arms do that same double hinge thing that all the Luffys have been doing so far. It is quite a bit tighter on this release than any other that I've had so far, so that is to be noted. There's an upper arm swivel, bend at the elbow, as well as a ball joint at the wrist. There is a good amount of torso articulation, really free ball joint, which I like quite a bit. The skirt piece is on a soft plastic, so it can move out of the way, and it is also segmented, which is nice. The pants have got that same sort of like hinge part at the back to allow for a better bend. Seeing as it's hidden most of the time, I don't think it's super necessary that it was a hinge piece. I think you could have just had it like cut a little lower to allow for the bend regardless. You can do the splits that far, kick forward that far, bend at the knee. There is also a sort of like calf ball joint, which is sort of similar to Amazing Yamaguchi's, which is cool. The little switch on the side can bend as well, which is cool. And there is a ball joint at the ankles, which allows for a really cool range of motion and pivot. Because of the way that the feet are designed, they allow for really good posing and really stable poses, just because of the round, rather large surface area, and I appreciate that a lot. One thing, I didn't record it just because it happened sort of more towards the end of the review while I was posing it, is that the arms, at least on my copy, were susceptible to fall apart just at the double hinge, so right where sort of like the shoulder meets the joint, and it is very hard to reattach. I thought I was going to break the figure multiple times. I feel like this is something that could have happened to any Luffy, but the Egghead one in particular was very, very hard to deal with the really stiff joints, and just trying to reattach the peg was just a nightmare, and I did not enjoy it at all. Now for faces, we only get 2 faces, so he's got a open mouth smile, which looks nice. I do appreciate this one over the base Wano open mouth smile sort of thing that they did. And he's got a teeth closed, sort of more determined looking fight smile is what I would describe it as. Like, it's sort of his battle ready smile, but he doesn't have any actual like fighting faces. And they sort of do this because, like all the other Luffys so far, this is compatible with every other face that they've done. So I'm not going to go through as many faces as I would usually do or anything like that. I'm just going to do a single action face because it makes the figure look way better. So it's the open mouth angry face from the Romance Dawn Luffy, and it looks really, really, really good here. The reason why these faces are compatible with any others, because it looks like they aren't, is you can just pop off the earpiece and swap the faces. The earpiece just goes over around the hair. It's not sort of involved with the faceplates itself. It's sort of like the Scouters in some of the Dragon Ball figures. Now, in terms of accessories, I think this figure is massively lacking, and variety of accessories as well, because you get 2 smiling faces, and they're nice, don't get me wrong, but they are very, very similar to what we've had before, and there is no action option at all, which sucks. And you are almost expected to use the alternate faces. It shows as much on the back of the box. And if this is your starting figure for the line, or your beginner Luffy, you haven't had one so far, it kinda sucks. Like, posability and everything like that's fine, the figure itself is great, but the face options is pretty pathetic for an S.H.Figuarts, especially at the same price range as the Wano and the Romance Dawn Luffy. Like, the Wano one might not have been the best figure, but you got some pretty good faces, especially the comedic face. And the Romance Dawn Luffy is absolutely fantastic, and like sort of like an exemplar of the line for the price point as well. And then you've got this one, which just is fine, and we're going to be continuing the Egghead line with Chopper coming out soon, and it would have been nice if the Chopper, like the first Chopper we got, was either like pre-time skip or post-time skip. We've got to get like the whole Straw Hats together, and I feel like we're not going to finish the Egghead line either, so it's even more awkward like that. We're going to get Bonnie and Kizaru, and I just don't think that the line is going to be cohesive at any point in the near future, which kind of sucks. Like, it's sort of the problem that Dragon Ball had for a while, where they would just choose a lot of like favorites, or what was sort of current, where they'd be doing Dragon Ball Super S.H.Figuarts while Super was airing, and then sort of backpedal to do some of the older stuff every now and again. Where we are currently, we're doing Daima stuff at the same time as Namek Saga. Every now and again we get some Android stuff. Buu Saga's basically left to the wayside. Super was sort of forgotten, although we've got enough out of Super at this point. To be fair, Dragon Ball was just sort of like finished. Like, we got mostly everyone in Dragon Ball, but like there's a little bit that could be done still. But it's all sorts of awkward. And that's what the One Piece line feels like right now, because we do a little bit of Wano every now and again, do a little bit of Egghead, do a little bit of Romance Dawn. Like, this Egghead just came out, Blackbeard, I believe, just came out in Japan. We're getting the Usopp from pre-time skip soonish. It's just all over the place, and it feels like different teams are designing all of them, because the quality on them varies massively. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, this Luffy is okay, but I don't think he's okay enough to be compared with the other Luffys. Even though he is cheap, I think that because the other Luffys came with more and felt like more complete figures, this feels lacking. Because at that same price point, you got more figure, if that makes sense. But overall, like, he is still a good figure, but I feel like he necessitates having more Luffys or more One Piece figures to get the most out of the swappable face gimmick and everything like that. As a baseline figure, I feel like he's lacking. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time. Oh hi, I didn't see you there. As you can see, I'm hard at work making new videos for the channel. Now, while I'm happy with where the channel is right now, I could use your help. By liking, commenting, and subscribing to the channel, it helps out the YouTube algorithm and recommends my channel to more people. So if you like any of my videos, please let me know, it really helps out. And if you liked this one, please let me know too. It means a lot to me and I really, really appreciate all of you guys.